Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we're discussing the prophecy of Dante versus Abaddon. Can the Lord of Angels actually win? General spoiler warning to begin, as the events we're discussing today are from across the Warhammer 40k universe. So you have been warned. And with that said, let's just jump straight in. Now, Rabute Gilliman aside, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find two more popular characters within the current timeline: Dante of the Blood Angels and Abaddon the Despoiler. Two icons of their factions, perfectly representing their cause. Dante, the selfless lifetime of service, carrying the burden of duty beyond his years. And then Abaddon, the warmaster of chaos, burning with hatred for the false god emperor, and the one soul who has united the fallen traitor legions. The two feel intrinsically linked. Their Primarch's duel at the height of the heresy has echoed throughout the ages. The sacrifice of the angel against the warmaster. Dante wears the face of Sanguinius, and Abaddon resembles his Primarch so much he's rumoured to be his clone. And Dante remains convinced that he is the golden warrior within the Scrolls of Sanguinius. If you're not too familiar with the Scrolls of Sanguinius, they are some of the Blood Angel's most precious artifacts. Personal writings of the angel, recording his visions of the future. Sanguinius foresaw the corpse of his father upon the Golden Throne, the eternal sacrifice he would perform for mankind. He foresaw the rise of the Tyranids, and a time where they would fight against the ruinous powers for the pleasure of ending the galaxy, the final blow landing upon Terra, with the death of the Emperor. But even in this moment of darkness, Sanguinius foresaw hope. The Emperor's mind stirring within the warp, and a golden warrior standing before the throne. The golden warrior was clearly one of Sanguinius's own sons, wearing a mark of armour the Primarch did not recognise, and perhaps most importantly, his own face upon their mask. Now Sanguinius makes it clear this is not his herald, the Sanguinor, and that he can tell the warrior is purer and more noble than any of his age. So it's all a pretty easy assumption to be Dante. I mean, come on, nobody else really lives to that hype. Now the warrior does sacrifice himself in this vision, a mirror to his Primarch's fate. But the Tyranids also consume Baal within the vision, which we know the Blood Angels have actually prevented, at least thus far. So as we have seen throughout 40k history, fate is not set. Whatever way you look at it, destiny surely has Dante and Abaddon replaying the duel of their fathers. Whether it's on the throne world or some other world within the Imperium, only time will tell. Dante will stand before the Despoiler. The question is, can he actually win? Does he even have a chance? It's a debate we've had before and will have countless times throughout the years, until this meeting eventually transpires. So let's begin with Abaddon. Size-wise, he has the advantage. During the days of the Great Crusade, he was renowned for being particularly large, even for a legionary, teased by his brothers that he couldn't even fit into his Terminator armour. And with that undoubtedly comes strength and brute force, escaping most of the passage of time via the Eye of Terror. Abaddon will have lost none of that. The dude is a straight up beast. And he's no slouch in the skill department either. If we focus on what we've seen of him post-heresy, his two most prominent encounters for my mind are against Sigismund and Manius Calgar. Now, Sigismund is quite possibly the greatest duelist ever, discounting the Primarchs of course. In terms of straight up skill, I'm not sure there's much debate for my mind. This guy actually stalked the battlefield during the Siege of Terror, looking for Abaddon. And thank the ruinous powers he didn't find him. Traitor champion after traitor champion fell to his blade, buying Abaddon time. Or that's at least how Sigismund viewed it. When they did finally cross blades all those many years later, Sigismund was over 1,000 years old, older than any Space Marine was expected to live. A good comparison for Dante, you could say. And age had undoubtedly taken its toll, while still the skill remained. Sigismund just wasn't as quick as he once might have been. As such, he wasn't able to capitalise on any speed advantage over Abaddon, who was as ever encased within his Terminator armour. It's worth noting this was before Abaddon had claimed the infamous demon sword Drachnien. However, of course he did wield the Talon of Horus. Now Abaddon would come out the victor, but not before Sigismund had embedded his sword right through his torso. There's an absolutely stellar line where Abaddon describes it like the old man had sheathed it inside my chest. Sigismund took the chance to end his foe, and perhaps for any other opponent, it would have been enough. But with his armour failing, and Sigismund's blade lanced right through him, Abaddon still had the strength to cut Sigismund down with the fabled Talon of Horus. Defeating Sigismund even after being 1,000 years old is no small feat. Abaddon deserves recognition for that. And then we have the duel against Calgar. Now this is a little different, as Calgar was actually trying to bide time and distract the Warmaster for as long as he could, for his real plan of destroying the vengeful spirit to be accomplished. For Calgar, we also have the fact that he had already crossed the Rubicon, and so was far above your standard firstborn Marine in size, strength and speed. For Abaddon, he now wielded the demon sword Drachnien, and had been the chosen Warmaster of Chaos for a long time now. While he claims to remain his own master, we don't actually know what gifts or boons he may have actually received. Calgar for his part was equipped in his standard war gear, wielding the gauntlets of Ultramar. Now he attempted to keep Abaddon at range with suppressive bolter fire, understandably wary of the demon sword. And I do think we need to point out one key line here. The Reavers, Suppressors and Scouts watching through their gun sights knew that the Chapter Master was deliberately holding back. It's made very clear here that Calgar's plan is to keep Abaddon on the battlefield, to not make him retreat. Now this doesn't necessarily mean that Calgar could win against Abaddon, but it certainly implies he was in no way as offensive as he could have been, or that maybe as he wanted to be. Abaddon would return fire with the Talon of Horus, and that, with the ground giving way, would throw Calgar momentarily off balance. And from there, Abaddon absolutely demolishes the Chapter Master. Using this momentary advantage, Abaddon closes the gap, ripping off one of Calgar's gauntlets with the Talon of Horus. Calgar fends him off with a punch to the face from his bare hand, and then another to his torso with the power fist. But it's all over after this with one swing of Drachnien. The blade would slice through Calgar's remaining gauntlet and his armour, wounding both of the chapter masters' hearts. Now unfortunately here, rather than having a conclusive end to the fight, Abaddon would leave, becoming aware of Calgar's plan. It's worth mentioning Calgar's Belisarian furnace does activate afterwards, saving his life. But for me, I think it's highly unlikely he would have still been able to win given the situation. With his armour completely shredded, it actually was a pretty one-sided win for Abaddon. I'm not sure even with the Belisarian furnace activating, he really would have stood a chance at fending Abaddon off. So perhaps two of Abaddon's most famous victories post-heresy. Now what of Dante, however? Well, we've seen Dante defeat the Tyrannid Swarmlord through the events of the devastation of Baal, though after days of non-stop fighting, it virtually cost him his life. And we do see Dante go toe-to-toe with a Keeper of Secrets in Darkness in the Blood, taking it down together with the Lord of Death Mephiston. As a son of the Angel, he's undoubtedly one of the most skilled bladesmen out there, and he has the call of the rage to fuel him upon the battlefield. A tightrope to walk for sure, but there's none more experienced to do it than Dante. Maybe it's that experience that's Dante's biggest issue. Dante is incredibly old now. He has led the chapter as chapter master for over 1,100 years. Space Marines just aren't supposed to live that long. And as a result of this, thanks to the novel Darkness in the Blood, we know it's reaching the point where he can't go on much longer. His wounds are simply not healing as they should. In his own words, Dante believes he is dying, and the time comes where he may be forced to risk crossing the Rubicon Primaris. Without crossing the Rubicon, could Dante stand a chance against Abaddon? Well, I guess you have to say there's always a chance, but I would put it down as a small one at best. Sigismund may have impaled the Despoiler, but I'm not sure, as good as Dante is, we can really say he's Sigismund's equal with a blade. And I'm having to take a bit of a guess here, but I'd also say Sigismund wasn't quite as old as Dante is now, or as in bad health. I feel that Dante's only two options are really to give in to the rage, or to cross the Rubicon before. With the rage, it's the breaking of barriers, throwing it all out to the wind, and just giving in to fury. What a mirror that would be, the Warmaster versus the Angel, with Dante literally reliving it as the duel of Sanguinius versus Horus. I don't know what we'll see in the future, but I hope we see that. I don't want Dante to die, of course, he's one of my absolute favourite characters, but I just feel it's too poetic to not see the two come face to face. However, regardless, even then, I'm just not sure it could be enough. Abaddon's big, strong, ridiculously experienced himself, and wields possibly the two most feared weapons in the galaxy. Two weapons that just happen to shred Calgar's armour like butter. Dante for me has to cross the Rubicon before meeting the Warmaster to even stand a chance. And even then, given the absolute demolishing of a Primaris Calgar, It's still a monumental ask. The one fact that maybe gives Dante a ray of hope for me, however, is how it was made pretty clear Calgar was holding back. He wasn't fighting the fight he possibly would have preferred to. Calgar may not be heralded as one of the greatest warriors within the Imperium, but he is no slouch in the tactical department. He is a legend in his own right, truly taking after his father Guilliman. He would have undoubtedly had ideas on how he would have preferred to fight Abaddon. And with the ground giving way, you could argue Abaddon's victory there was more seizing the opportunity than any real reflection of skill. If you really wanted to, you probably could argue that for the Sigismund fight too. However, for me, I think simply putting it down to that would be doing the Despoiler a great disservice. He's beaten everyone placed in his way, some of the most legendary names within the lore, and his name was renowned across the Astartes during the times of the Legions, when the galaxy was filled with legendary warriors. There is a reason Abaddon was rumoured as a clone of his father, quite simply because he was that good. Dante, outside Guilliman obviously, has no comparison within the current 40k universe, at least for me. He's quite simply a breed apart. He has led his chapter for over 1,000 years. He has given more than anyone should ever have to, and he now bears the responsibility for half the Imperium's survival. If anyone can stand a chance against Abaddon, it's him, but I feel he really does need to cross the Rubicon to do so. With that, it's a chance, maybe not the greatest, but a chance nonetheless. Maybe the answer really would come down to how far Dante would be willing to go. Would he be looking at Abaddon, the Warmaster of Chaos? Or would he be looking through the eyes of his father, at Warmaster Horus? But as always everyone, what do you think? Who do you feel would come out on top between the duel of Abaddon and Dante? We know it is destined to happen, maybe sooner rather than later. Does Dante truly stand a chance? How much emphasis should we place on Abaddon's victories over Sigismund and Calgar? Do they prove the Despoiler's skill, his unmatched resilience and fury? Or maybe do they reveal the Warmaster was actually lucky, that Dante does indeed stand a chance? If you feel that Dante is not the man to get it done, who else out there within the Imperium do you feel could step up to the task, outside the Primarch? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. With that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.